someone like Seamus, who is Catholic, staunchly pro-life, can sit here and disagree with me or Ian or whatever, and he's like he's one of our best friends. We laugh together. He's on the show consistently. There's no beef.
Right.
Yeah.
There's none. But if it comes to the left, you disagree on one issue, you're out. You're far right. You're bad. You're evil.
Literally Hitler.
Yeah.
Literally Hitler, yeah.
This is the Joe Rogan thing that's so fascinating to me. I mean, Joe Rogan is a guy who's, if he's supporting any politician, it's Bernie Sanders. You know, this is as progressive as it can get. And yet, why does the left hate him and the corporate media hate him? Is because he's impeding on their power and because he's willing to have conversations. I mean, I describe him as an information maximalist. And the media is now full of information minimalists. They want the minimum amount of information out there for the public to consume because really they just fundamentally distrust people. They distrust their own audience and they distrust the average American. And the right is now all of a sudden in this position of being, no, actually, you know, let's get ideas out there. Now, not the right, but Bill Maher and Joe Rogan, these are people that just have a fundamental disagreement with the way the left has shifted towards this anti-free speech platform.
And I think the other side of that too, though, is also the left has gotten so crazy, and a lot of their core beliefs now don't stand up to intellectual scrutiny. Yeah. So if they had their ideas challenged on social media or on these news programs, and people are exposed to one side and the other side and the actual facts, like men can't be women, men don't have uteruses. You know, if we truly have an actual open debate, pretty much 90% of everything they believe is gonna be obliterated.
Yep. That's why they don't want to come on the show.
Yep.
And every polite invite gets turned down. We will pay for your travel. We will fly you first class. We will get a car waiting for you with a guy holding up a sign with your name on it. We'll bring you out. There will be a filet mignon, medium rare, Oscar style, right on this table.
It was great service.
And you can say whatever you want. And they're like, no.
Wait, y'all
You can
been
eat a
flying first
steak
class?
while insulting Tim across from it. Yeah.
I'm saying for leftists, we gotta pull out of the stops.
Pull out the red carpet.
Come on down. And they're like, no. And then you get the grifter ones who are like just willing to lie, cheat, and steal for fame. And they're like, oh, come on. It's like, not you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we know what your game is. Yeah. I'm talking about the actual personalities who are talking about leftist politics and policies. Jimmy Dore came on. But we're big fans of Jimmy Dore.
He was a regular on Tucker too.
Right.
But this is the thing. Like, there are some people that I think are willing to do it themselves and are willing to have that exchange, but they're just so afraid of the backlash. They're so afraid of what a few people yelling at them on Twitter will feel like that they don't understand that is such an unrepresentative situation when it comes to what your actual fans, what people that actually like you, they would get out of that. They're so warped and living in this bubble of Twitter, which is, you know, as polls have shown, 2% of all Americans account for 90% of tweets about politics. I mean, it's unrepresentative. And listen, I spend way too much time on Twitter myself. Amen. I love it. I hate that I love it. I'm not representative of this, but I try to have some self-awareness that this is not real life, that people who, you know, love me on Twitter or hate me on Twitter, it's a very small cross section.
But I think it's becoming real life. That's the issue. That
it's starting to feed into it. Yeah.
Well, that it has been. This, you know, Twitter isn't real life was prominent 6-7 years ago because people were hyper online, but now there's no middle anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's to the point where it really does. The craziest thing is I've had people come up to me and be like, oh, hey, you're Timpool. I follow you on Twitter. And I'm like, oh, do you watch the show? And they're like, I just follow you on Twitter, man.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
Wow.
So it's like Twitter's influence has become pronounced, which is probably why Elon Musk was like, I have to buy this thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of what people end up deciding to talk about or report about or discuss on their podcast is based on what they see trending on Twitter. So it's an incredibly powerful tool. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that while Twitter, in terms of its user base, is not the furthest left platform, it certainly leans to the left to the point where if it were a state, for example, it would be, you know, pretty solidly blue. And a lot of corporations will look to the kind of reception they are getting on Twitter from their advertisement campaigns to determine whether they should shift course. And they're getting an incredibly biased sample, and many of them haven't realized that in the past. So you'll get a bunch of people tweeting at you saying, well, this campaign was offensive, et cetera, et cetera. All right, well, you're getting a biased sample there. But corporations will still make changes based on that very biased sample.